When you download the iHeartRadio app and put the WD and Shook Show on your list of stations, you will prove to the world that you're a little bit smarter than everyone else. The WD and Shook Show, your connection to the signs of the times.
Now, you have a source for the truth in the news. W. Dean Shook, End Time News. Your connection to the signs of the times.
And welcome to End Time News. I'm your host, W. Dean Shook, here to give you the truth the mainstream media is never going to tell you. And I have got a good one to start off this update. You're not going to believe this. This just made me shake my head. And I think it's going to make you shake your head too. The feds buy a border fence for nowhere near Mexico. The U.S. Department of State recently purchased 2,500 spools of Constantine wire to complete a border fence that online distance calculators determine is over 6,600 miles away from the Rio Grande. So instead of completing the still unfinished border fence dividing Mexico from the United States, this $435,000 contract is designated to purchase fencing for the border between Ukraine and the Crimean Peninsula. The fence is part of an $8 million non-lethal assistance package originally authorized in April. The order is for the delivery of 2,500 spools of Constantine wire for the Border State Guard Service of Ukraine. This explains a federal notice posted on fedbizops.gov. Constantine wire, they say, is necessary for the State Border Guard Service to defend the newly imposed borders between Ukraine mainland and the Crimean Peninsula and to strengthen Ukraine's eastern border. The contract was awarded to BK Engineer Systems in Kiev, the capital of Ukraine. Meanwhile, U.S. Border Patrol agents are struggling just to process the tide of immigrants illegally streaming across the border from Mexico, where a 700-mile-long fence originally authorized by law in 2006 has yet to be completed. Now, on October 26, 2006, George Bush signed the Secure Fence Act of 2006, and it required the Department of Homeland Security to achieve and maintain operational control over the entire international land maritime borders of the United States, including construction of physical infrastructure enhancements to prevent unlawful entry by aliens into the United States. Well, this law was originally set as a deadline of May 30th, 2008 to complete this fence construction. Lawmakers and federal officials have pointed out that Congress has failed to appropriate sufficient funds for the completion of the fence. To this date, more than 600 miles of fencing have been constructed along the U.S. southern border, but significant portions of the barrier remain unfinished and easily crossed by illegal aliens, as we see on the news every single day. You can get that full story at wdeanshook.com. Now, you don't hear me reporting on the Ferguson case, and there's a reason for that. The mainstream media is all over it, non-stop. But when the lies and the deception starts, that's when I start. That's when I dig up the truth, and it's my turn to be all over it. However, I was disturbed to hear feds are getting involved. That means they're reporting federal charges will be filed in this shooting death of Michael Brown, regardless of what local prosecutors do, according to a former Justice Department official who warns politicizing of the justice system is at an all-time high. Hans von Spankowski, who served in the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department during George W. Bush administration, is now a senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation and co-author of a new book, Obama's Enforcer, Eric Holder's Justice Department. He says the Obama administration's track record on deciding which cases to prosecute and Friday's Texas indictment of Governor Rick Perry are just the latest evidence that ideology is driving the justice system at multiple levels of government. Eric Holder has completely politicized the Justice Department. He said, "We unfortunately see this is happening in other places like Travis County, Texas, DA's office. That should concern Americans. I don't care what their political background is, because that's a threat to everyone's liberty and everyone's freedom when that kind of power is used for political purposes. He added, "I'm fearful they will try to pursue a federal case even if there's no evidence to justify it, because of the fact that they really see everything, including Eric Holder, through the prism of race, even when race is not a factor." And I think we've seen even little tidbits of that in the mainstream media. Well, I also want to give you another lesson from Ferguson. One of the lessons from Ferguson, which was ignored by the 24/7 media frenzy, was that store owners who stood and defended their shops with guns did not get looted or vandalized. At County Guns and the adjacent St. Louis ink tattoo studio, peace and calm reigned. Adam Weinstein, owner of County Guns, shares a storefront with his business partner on Florissant Avenue, less than 10 minutes from where rioters started looting and burning businesses after a peaceful prayer vigil Saturday night. Hearing news reports of the spreading looting and violence, Weinstein and his partner, tattoo artist Mike Gutierrez, decided to act. They rounded up a few friends, prepared to protect their business with force if necessary. When they arrived at the store, the Dollar General in the same strip mall had already been looted. He said, "As soon as I saw they were getting closer to the store, I called my partner, we went up there and cleared out all of the inventory," he said, in an effort to stop the looters from getting a slew of free weapons from his gun store. And once we were up there, things got even hairier, so we said, "What the heck? Let's just suit up in our tactical gear, stand out there with our guns in front of the store." Well, Weinstein stood with his AR-15 assault rifle, a pistol, a tactical vest, while Gutierrez and several employees of the two stores also carried rifles. They not only protected their own store, but the other shops in the strip mall as well. He went on to say, "We're next to a beauty salon, which is popular for looting, and a cell phone store, so we scared them off. Nothing was touched," Weinstein said. "I won't elaborate on how we did that, but suffice it to say that if a bunch of crazy guys with machine guns, I would go the other way." Some alternative media picked up on the fact that President Obama, when he addressed the unrest in Ferguson, he lumped people, quote-unquote, carrying guns with those who were looting and attacking the police, adding that it was undermining justice. The president mentioned looting, carrying guns, and attacking the police, but these three things are not all the same. Two of these things are a crime. One of them is not. That story is also available at wdeanshook.com. And since we're on the subject of guns, I've got a couple here that are going to dovetail right together. As usual, police tell Detroiters to buy guns in city ravened by race issues and crime. This according to The Guardian. Detroit Police Chief James Craig, nicknamed Hollywood for his years spent in the LAPD and his seemingly love of being in front of the camera, has repeatedly called on good and law-abiding Detroiters to arm themselves against criminals in the city. Well, his words have not fallen on deaf ears. Patricia Champion, a 63-year-old lifelong Detroiter, a grandmother and retired educator, decided to get her concealed pistol license 2 years ago after her son said he was increasingly worried about her safety. Champion, a resident of northwest Detroit, mostly keeps her gun, a 9mm Glock 19 that set her back $600, in her house. "That's why I got it," she said, "because I'm going to be in the house. Now, if anybody chooses to come in and I don't invite you, between the Glock and the dog, you're gone. If one doesn't get you, the other one will. The police are not going to protect you when something's being perpetrated on you. They may turn up after the fact, they may run after that person, but you have to protect yourself," Champion says. Champion's fear of facing a threat in her home are not ill-founded. Besides having the worst homicide rate among large American cities, Detroit experienced 12,935 burglaries last year. With around 250,000 households, that means Detroiters have roughly a 1 in 20 chance of being burgled. The residents who've been victims of crime being allowed to carry a weapon, whether openly or concealed, is not just reassuring. It's part of a pragmatic reality of living in the Motor City, Wayne County, which encapsulates Detroit and its metro area. counted 83,950 active concealed pistol permits as of August 1st, 2014, meaning one permit for every 21 households. The city strapped cash for only 2,300 police officers, unchanged from a year ago before the bankruptcy, but still not enough. Many Detroiters feel they have to rely on themselves for their own security and survival. For Rick Ector, a Detroit-based NRA firearms instructor and former Chrysler system analyst, it's quite simple. You are your own first line of defense. And in an opposite story, moms, don't flash your gun at Kroger's. According to CNN Money, the moms group that got Target, Chili's, and Chipotle to take a stance against guns called on Kroger to do the same Monday. The organization, Moms, Demand Action for Gun Sense in America, wants the grocery chain to ban customers from openly carrying guns in their store. The demand comes after a woman shot and killed her husband and then herself in Georgia at a Kroger's parking lot in June, and other gun-related incidents at Kroger stores, the group said in a news release. In dozens of states, including Georgia, openly carrying a gun is legal. Kroger is one of the largest chains in the country, operating 2,642 supermarkets and nearly 1,000 convenience stores. The gun control advocacy group was founded in response to the Sandy Hook school shooting and has partnered with billionaires, guess who, Michael Bloomberg and Warren Buffett. It has had success with its past campaigns. In May, Chipotle, Sonic, and Chili's restaurants folded under intense public pressure and asked customers to leave their guns at home. Target followed suit in July. Kroger's has a policy posted on its website, and customers carrying firearms in stores, while it doesn't specifically ask customers to stop carrying guns in the stores, it asks that they follow state and local laws and be respectful of others while shopping. But not all is lost. Here's a news story of inspiration and hope as a young high school student stands up for her free speech and freedom of religion rights. And this is headlined, high school students claim she was suspended for saying bless you after a classmate sneezed. Dyer County, Tennessee, a high school student was allegedly suspending after breaking a class rule of saying bless you after a classmate sneezed. Kendra Turner, a senior at Dyer County High School, said bless you to her classmate who sneezed, and the teacher told her that term was for church. She said we're not going to have godly speak in her classroom, and that's when I said I have a constitutional right, she told Turner. Turner told WMC when she defended her actions, the teacher told Turner to see an administrator. The student said she had to finish the class period in in-school suspension. The girl's parents were told by school leaders their daughter shouted bless you across the room and that it was a classroom distraction. School officials told her parents Tuesday that the teacher claimed that her daughter was aggressive and disruptive. But Becky Weingartner, Turner's youth pastor, disagrees with the school's action and in-class suspension. There were several students that were talking about this particular faculty member that was very demeaning to them in regard to their faith, Weingarten told WMC. This was something that had come up previously in the last few weeks, just since the beginning of school, and I shared with all the students what their rights were. WMC reported that there are other expressions that are banned as part of the class rules and are listed on a teacher's whiteboard along with bless you. Some of Turner's classmates supported her Tuesday by wearing handmade bless you t-shirts. She explained that she doesn't want trouble for her teacher, but that she'll stand up for her faith no matter what. It's all right to defend God, and it's our constitutional right because we have a freedom of religion and a freedom of speech, Turner told WMC. Well, let's all take that attitude. Let's all stand up for our free speech and our freedom of religion. If we don't, we're going to lose it. And as usual, this program stays alive by you visiting our sponsor. That's GoDaddy.com. You can find a banner at the homepage at wdeanshook.com. Please visit our sponsor. You can get your own domain name for as little as $4.99 a year. Please help support this program. Visit our sponsors. And as usual, when the smoke clears and the dust settles, I'll see you on our next program. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you for your support. I'm your host, W. Dean Shook.
You can get these full stories and more at wdeanshook.com. That's wdeanshook.com.